Yo, what's going on, guys? Koi here. Just how do you say? From what we got in the sneaks, I'm just gonna be. Today we're gonna be talking about like the sneaks and stuff from Devas of Creation, and just kind of like work off of that. I know a lot of you guys are probably like wondering how come you're not playing the game, and honestly, I just don't feel like it. I feel like the grind is too much. It's unnecessarily hard at the end. It's just consistently doing dungeons. In order for you to get tokens for dungeons, what do you got to do? You got to do a whole bunch of like killing of a mob, of killing of like the generals, and then running back and doing the same thing. It's just, it's not what I kind of wanted from the dungeons. I wanted the dungeons to be free and easier to do. And it's like, people could be like, Koi, like you don't even play the game like that. What do you have to say? And I'm like, well, think about it. No one else is playing the game like that in this like in most of the YouTube community. They all decided to go play something a lot better or a lot more consistent. They don't have to like grind incredibly hard on. Like a lot of the like a lot of the people they just quit, man. A lot of them quit. There's nothing I can really say that's going to change the fact that no one else is playing the game and the player base is deteriorating for a simple reason as the game is not fun to play right now. It's too hard for the average Joe to just get into without having a mid max, and the only people who actually like enjoy playing the game are people who already have built-in maxed out accounts, and like they either like got really like good stuff from specifically like obviously there was a lot of hacked stuff in the game, and there's just a lot of like people who have just plus 10 everything that they don't have to ever worry about playing the new dungeon update ever again, and they're just like they won, you know what I mean? They don't have to do anything anymore, and now they're just waiting for content. And what do we get? More microtransactions, just more macro transactions. Sorry, it's macro transactions. We're getting more macro transactions, and that's going to be like because they updated the battle pass, they thought people would buy it some more. Well, people aren't going to buy the battle pass if the game's unplayable. Like, I mean, not playable, but just not fun to play. You know what I mean? People don't care. And the fact that, like, they think that just instead of giving us content, they're just going to keep trying to mooch as much as they can off of the pretty much what the prime release was and where we are now with the way that the players are going and everything. It's just deteriorating. The player base is deteriorating. And there's a lot of people who want this game to pop back up. This is not pilgrimed. This is not a fully finished game. This is a game that we are just playing up to a certain point. And we're stuck there because the developers are forcing us to stay there because they didn't have content for the end game. But they want to keep releasing microtransactions like we're going to keep buying that. Just focus on the game, man. Like we want to get to level 100 already. There should be no reason why we're still stuck back here waiting and waiting and waiting. Like, people want to get to that level 100. They want to hit that sweet spot. If, you know, if they didn't have anything planned, they didn't have anything planned. We're just here. But I know we're getting the new weapon apparently. I think it's the Scythe that's finally coming into the game. I think it was pretty obvious that the Scythe was coming into the game. So, I mean, it is what it is. We kind of knew that this was coming from a while ago. But the other thing is, right, is what's going to be coming with that content. Like they need to make the game easier to play because it's boring right now. It's just in a really boring state that people just don't want to come back. And they need to add more stuff. They need to make it fun again. Like Pilgrimed, for instance, is probably one of the best examples of what a good game is. You know what I mean? Pilgrimed as a game in general is probably one of the best games on Roblox for even though they have a small team and they don't get a lot of love because they have such a small team. They don't like doing promotions, they don't like expectations. But what do they have? They have bosses. They have fully set up like freaking um they have fully set up teams. They got freaking amazing reworks that happen every single update, and people keep coming back to replay the brand new story, and they wipe their slots, they work again, they wipe their slots, they work again. And people love that. People love that about Pilgrim. and you could just come back, play the new thing, kill the new boss, all that good stuff, and then you never have to worry about it again because you beat the update and you come back later, and or you could play a completely different free flow gaming experience of an MMO. There was also some other ones, like obviously there's tons of little MMOs out there. Legends Rewritten was one of them that used to be very, very good. Uh, and then like obviously a lot of MMOs just change. Honestly, the method changes for a lot of them because I think it's financials. You know what I mean? A lot of them just can't make enough money to keep the updates going, and it's really just out of pocket. But Divas Creation made money on release. You know, they have the resources to come back and try to make a really good game, and we should be able to see something that comes out of that, man. We should. Uh, but I don't know. I think that Divas of Creation, if they really just took a step back and reworked a lot of the combat in the game, I know this is like beating a dead horse here. Like everyone's been asking for a combat rework because the combat feels stale in PvP and other versions of the game. And a lot of people are like, well, PvP is like so one-sided, it's crazy because it doesn't feel like the game was made for PvP. I think we felt this the first time when they first came out with the Battlegrounds game to showcase their combat system, which was mediocre at best, and people played it for like a day. That's how bad the original combat was, and then the combat now is the exact same way, just slightly better, and no one likes it. And they need to just focus on it, man. They really need to like actually listen to the community, fix their game, really take a step back and try to understand what made the game interesting and then capitalize on that. Because right now the game is just boring, repetitive as hell, and no one cares about playing it right now. I'm going to be totally honest, no one cares because there's like the select few, obviously. There's the select few out there, obviously people who are waiting, but there's struggles. The struggles are absolutely valid. Every single one of them is struggling with something, and all those struggles literally have to do with the stupidest, minute things that they want to capitalize off of financially. And that has to do with things such as inventory space. These poor players have to buy inventory space unless they want to wait for a code that's going to come every million years. You know what I mean? It's like, why are they forcing us to do that? It's crazy. After that, it's like you got the inventory space issue, you got the freaking the other issue, which is like bank space as well. Drop rates for certain things just don't make sense. Like they just haven't made these changes that people care about, and it's like, what the heck, man? Make some quality of life changes, and maybe we'll come back and play the game. So far, I haven't seen a single really good quality of life change at all. I've only seen basically only financial changes for them to make a lot more money off of people who think that the game's going to be worth playing in a month or two. Like, what happens when we get to level 100? Is that the end of the game? Is there going to be an expansion? Because it looks like the way that they're working is at a snail's pace. And I'm not dissing the devs. I just think that they ate too much. Like they got too much to handle. They're putting too much in their mouth, and they're like, hey, freaking, we're gonna deliver the best freaking game you've ever seen, and they didn't deliver. They fell off. And freaking, that's coming from the only guy who's really like making videos about Divas of Creation. I I've been down this road so many times with games that have fallen off, and I can see the signs. It's pretty obvious. Like I've seen the signs with a lot of games. I saw the issues with anime power defense and why it freaking died. Uh, Obviously, it's greed. I saw the issues with a lot of like scam games that released because of greed, and then now we're seeing this same pattern of greed just happening because they want to make a little extra cash before the game dies for good. And I think that they should just take a step back and make the game faster, make it more enjoyable, make it more wacky, because right now the game is just boring, man. I think they really need to stop trying to take a serious approach when they don't have the facilities to be serious about making a game. I'm sorry. Like it's got to be said for reals though, because if if they were incredibly serious, they would already like just start outsourcing to stop hackers instantly. They would have the most professional people pay the hell out of them, like actually start wiping accounts. Don't just let them sit here with millions of scrolls and other stuff because they beat the game. And those people, the hackers and the people who profited off of the hackers and everything like that, they beat the game already. They won. They're there. They beat your game. You lost to hackers off rip, and that is on you. You could have made those changes in order to actually like push back on them, man. You really could have. And I'm not dissing y'all or anything. It's just I don't think you guys were prepared for how aggressive the Roblox community is whenever it comes down to their hacker fan base. The hackers are so aggressive on this platform that they can hack any game and script it and make it so darn ridiculous and hard for you to actually continue development on your own game. They've murdered games before over this. The only people who have defeated hackers are people like Bloxfruits. And I know I like to pivot to Bloxfruits for the best games ever made, but the reason is Bloxfruits, the way they beat hackers was they stopped being serious about hackers. They actually just started making people work for what they need to get. They stopped. The only trading they have in the game is for devil fruits, but even at that, there's a market. There's obvious prices. They set everything up. They made sure that nothing can fluctuate, and they made sure that the community understood that the market cannot fluctuate in any way, shape, or form, without like the game developers obviously setting up the prices and putting it in its own way. Like obviously, things like Dragon and stuff like that are going to skyrocket, but they know this. They have this stuff set up. They set up the values. A game without game set values is not going to survive in this platform. It just doesn't. And with this being the case, uh, I don't think that Divas of Creation can clap back from this unless they understand that they need to actually take hold and take charge of the game and fix it physically without like letting the community, because the community's gone. Unless the community like actually comes back like out of some miracle, they have to come back based off of content. If there's nothing for them to come back to, they ain't gonna come back. That's the thing. And the dungeons was a small spike compared to the massive drop, the massive flood that you need in order to keep the game alive. So they got some money to sit on. They're going to be able to clap back at least a little bit with the financials. But if they don't do anything about the game after this, like if they just like they don't make any major content pushes, they don't hire more staff, anything like that, then the game's going to struggle. All right. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed my little rant. Freaking, I love Divas of Creation. It was a great game when it first came out. We had a good time, and then freaking now we just gotta wait. Another game that pretty much perished. Now we're just waiting, absolutely waiting for the next major patch that hopefully brings a flood of players back in, and hopefully we can see what happens. Because right now it's like the fact that it's maxing out at 500 players is crazy. All right, see you guys later. Take it easy. Peace out.